Welcome to the Sports Bros Podcast, featuring the almighty B-Live, the money man Scottie D, and your host, the head of creative Eddy Kool. The Sports Bros Podcast, by the fan, for the fan, talking sports just the way you like it. And without any further ado, let's give it up for the Sports Bros. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time once again for your favorite sports podcast, none other than the Sports Bros Podcast. Is this episode 218 or 219? I'm starting to lose count, but I know 218. All right, B-Live, thank you. It's episode 218 of the Sports Bros Podcast. See, you got so much going on, you be forgetting stuff. But before I start rambling, I'm going to stop myself because you know I can't do this by myself. I not only have one, but I have two of the best co-hosts in the world. Introducing first, coming to you live from Fayetteville, North Carolina at the Shared Studios, the almighty B-Live.
What's happening? What's going on in the world today? Let's see. Fantasy football problems. Hashtag. And I don't like the league that I'm in with you guys here. The Sports Bros Fantasy Football League, because week one, Aaron Rodgers. Week two, Nick Chubb.
Ooh, ouch.
We're not off to a good start. And anybody that knows me knows I've been talking cash all day. I've been talking trash, cash, all the mess. And now I'm sitting at 0-2 and bottom of the league, and I don't like it. And everybody wants to let me know about it. So screw you guys. I'm going home. And then you can go ahead and introduce the other guy, let him talk about something and sing to the people. But fantasy football, not doing well. Not doing well.
Oh, no, not talking all that trash and Neshcast, but you know what? I'm fine. I'll go to, hey, man, it is what it is. It happens to the best of us. The other guy, he is the pride of Washington, Pennsylvania, and the attendee at the Waynesburg University, where he's majoring in sports, broadcasting, and among other things, if you only heard the off-air conversation, which you will not, he is the one, the only, the money man, Scottie D.
Good morning. Good morning. Look at us up super early on a Tuesday. Hey, it's Tuesday. It's not Wednesday, Eddie. It's Tuesday.
You know he edits and he publishes, and it comes out on Wednesday. So,
but we're live today, right?
Well, technically yes, but it's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, just to let you know, I'm still working out some technical difficulties, so we're not yet live, but we will be very soon.
Oh, so we're not live. We're recorded.
It happens. It's okay. We're still recording. It's all good.
I was told we were going live this morning.
Yeah, and I was wanting to, and then when I pressed the button, everything just went.
So why didn't you tell me I was being recorded?
Well, the thing about it is, I figured if I told you that you weren't being recorded, then you start taking your shirt off, and then nobody wants it.
Good idea. Good idea.
Oh no! Before you start undoing buttons, I'm scared. Oh God, what's going on? Scottie D, have you been listening to Pussycat Dolls loosening up my buttons, baby? What the hell is going on here?
That should have been my song for the morning. All right, well let's talk about some sports. Let's get into this thing, Eddy Kool here. Let's talk some sports, huh?
All right, Scottie D, keep your gear and your merchandise on. And with that being said, let's go ahead and hop right into it. The top of the order. All right, let's get this thing started. Here it is, the top of the order. Going into week two, it's week two. It's the second week of the NFL season, and a lot has happened this week than it did last week in week one. So with that being said, fellas, what stood out this week that we either overreacted to, or didn't see in week one? B-Live, I heard you got two of them. What you got?
Well, we're gonna start off with one thing that I overreacted because see what had happened was I've been rooting for the Detroit Lions for years now. I feel like they're just a step away. They're almost there. They're about to cross this threshold. And then they remind me who they actually are. And so when they beat the reigning, defending, undisputed world champions, I said world champions instead of national champions. I still feel that way. I don't care. In Kansas City, even though they were short a couple of weapons, I was like, Detroit may have finally arrived to the chat. And then they remind me that they can't stop a nosebleed and let Seattle creep right on back into the game. It was a hard-fought battle. But these are the games that, and I'm not trying to downplay Seattle, but these are the games you have to win. These are the games that determine whether you're going to be a contender or a pretender. And Detroit, you just, yeah, you get there. You're going to get there. I haven't lost faith, but I definitely overreacted. Now, where y'all overreact, because I believe both of y'all believe in the Los Angeles Superchargers making it to the playoffs.
They will.
And Justin Herbert is all world and all this and all that. And they also can't stop a nosebleed. And hard fought battle, overtime, both overtime games. But those are the games, especially against a Tennessee squad that's not expected to do much. These are the games that you have to win. The Chargers are now 0-2 in a very tough division and a very tough conference. Detroit's 1-1. Of course, there's a lot going on, but those are the games that really popped out to me. I'm like, people believing in the Chargers, and I'm like, not so fast. I'm believing in the Lions, not so fast. We shall see. 15 more weeks to go. 16 more weeks, 15 more games.
Yeah, like you said, B-Live, we shall see. Scottie D, what say you? What you got?
Some overreactions to the first week was that Josh Allen was a scrub because he had a terrible Monday night, and he's not. Another overreaction would have been maybe that the Browns are going to have a good season, and they're not. They showed how terrible they are on Monday night. And here's one that here's the trap I fell into. Based on 1 week, I thought that it was smart to pick the Jacksonville Jaguars to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not gone that way yet. It's not that way yet. The Chiefs are still the team to beat in the AFC, and they had a tough opening night, as a lot of teams did. You know, I always say the opening week doesn't really give you a good gauge because everyone's still trying to find themselves and get back into their routine. And the Chiefs had a bad first night, and Detroit was the beneficiary of that, as you mentioned, B Live, and then they kind of laid an egg in the second week defensively. But you know, I mentioned last week that maybe this is a game that could, at the end of the season, months from now, have some implications as to who's going to be the best team in the AFC as far as having home field advantage. And if that's the case, then it's still the Chiefs. I mean, again, we're way ahead of ourselves when it comes to that situation. But the Chiefs showed that you have to knock us off, Jacksonville. I know you had a nice, it was cute what you did last year. You came back in your little playoff game against the Chargers, and you're making some strides here. And I think Jacksonville, I'm not taking away from them. I do think they're going to easily win that division and be a very, very good team this year. But after 1 week, I was like, man, Jacksonville looks really good. Kansas City doesn't look too good. I'm going to pick the Jaguars to beat them at home. That's a pretty solid pick, and it ended up not being the case. So Kansas City, my apologies for jumping off of your bandwagon after 1 week.
I got a quick question for you, Scottie D, just because. Did you or anybody?
The Cowboys. I still root for the Cowboys. Yeah.
So you had to throw that in. Nobody asked for that. Did anybody in the world expect Kansas City versus Jacksonville and all the weapons that they have on offense to be 17-9?
No, I was expecting a better game. Matter of fact, I wasn't even watching that one. I was watching the Bengals and Ravens for the biggest part of the early part of the day, and I kept thinking I need to switch over to watch this Jacksonville game. But then the score showed, and I was like, this isn't such a good game. And Kansas City defensively is maybe better than we gave them credit for. After the first week, we're thinking, they don't look so good. Maybe they're losing, but it's not like Kansas City is a super old team whose windows closed. They're the Super Bowl favorites. I mean, there's a good chance they're going to be back there in a parade again next February. But yeah, I was definitely expecting better as far as some offensive numbers in that game. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I expected better from both teams, man, because you got Calvin Ridley being all world, Christian Kirk looking like every bit of that 79, whatever contract he got, looking every bit of it. And I just don't know. I don't know what happened in Jacksonville. I mean, it's 1 week at a time,
I think we might have to give some credit to Kansas City's defense. I think it overshadowed just because you got Patrick Mahomes and his new record-breaking contract or whatever. No, it's not record. Well, I think it's the most within a 4-year span that's guaranteed, some mess like that. But this money being thrown everywhere, and all this money that's been going to all these quarterbacks, ain't none of it panned out yet. The same.
No.
They should have invested more money in the running back position. More money should be going to guys like Aaron Jones and Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley. That's where all the money should be going. Eddy Kool, what you got?
I knew he was going. I knew this. Yes, I knew this Sunday when Saquon Barkley got hurt. I was like, "Oh, here we go."
Yeah.
The conversation is going to be had.
Eddy Kool, talk to the people.
Injury prone.
Talk to the people.
You know, from a fantasy football standpoint, I'm feeling it too because I got Nick Chubb in 2 of my 4 leagues, but something told me, hey, you better go ahead and get Jerome Ford. So good job by me. And also I had Aaron Rodgers in one of my leagues too, but I replaced him with Mac P Shooter Jones, as Rex Ryan told him on ESPN. P Shooter Jones. That's his discreet name. I was like, wow.
Smoky.
That's hilarious. He called him, P Shooter Jones. I was dying. The New York Giants, we know they didn't do diddly poo last week, but this week they decided to put up 31 points against the Arizona Cardinals. At halftime they were down 13-0. And they were down 13-0, and then they came back and scored 14 points in the third quarter, 17 points in the fourth quarter, and said, you know what? The fourth quarter, we're going to shut down the Cardinals, and that's exactly what they did. Now, people are like, well, they wouldn't do that if Kyler Murray was there. Let's talk about the here and now. I mean, maybe the Giants aren't as bad off as we thought they were. They ran up against the Cowboys, and that's a defensive buzzsaw because you see what they did to the Jets the other night. So I think
that Sunday night was rough too. It was a just absolute monsoon that night too. So
yeah, those conditions, they didn't play fair for anybody because Dak passed for 151 yards. Daniel Jones was scrambling for his life. Saquon Barkley, he had 13 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm looking, yes, he had 17 carries, 63 yards for 1 touchdown. But he got hurt. He sprained his ankle. Luckily for him, it's only going to be for a few weeks. And Darren Waller, he got out of the game. He got 6 catches for 76 yards, no touchdowns. But Saquon Barkley got a reception touchdown, and Isaiah Hodgins, he also had a reception touchdown as well, too. And Jalen Hyatt, the rookie, he even got some burn as well, too. He had 2 catches for 89 yards because the Giants are looking for that deep threat, and they may have found it in Jalen Hyatt, which means I might need to go ahead and pull him off my taxi squad in my fantasy football league and get him involved. I think the Giants will be fine. Brian Daboll just won't have them go out there and just lay a goose egg like they did Monday night. But Monday night was an exception because the Cowboys defense is for real. It's for real. There's no bones about it.
One more time. It's the Arizona Cardinals. They talk about overreacting after.
Yeah, but and that's fair. But the Giants looked like absolutely the worst team in the league against Dallas in the opening game.
Looked like the worst team in the league against the Arizona Cardinals for a half.
They did.
They
But
did.
that's the thing. As we're writing the epitaph, they came back and they won a game that you would expect them to win.
On the road.
So
On the
I'm
road.
not saying that the Giants are a Super Bowl contender. I'm saying they're also not as bad as that 40-0 game indicated. I think that's kind of what I think we're getting at here.
Yeah, that's what it is. Now moving forward, it's going to have to be up to Daniel Jones and his legs and his wide receivers to make sure they're in games. To make sure they're in games that remain competitive. Because like I said, Saquon Barkley, he sprained his ankle, no damage done. He's going to be out for a handful of weeks. So
I want the camera to put a picture on this face right here. This is the face of a guy that has zero faith in the New York Football Giants. Zero faith in any of the teams that are in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Zero. None. Zilch. Nada. It's over for you. New York is where
what a great face that is. Man, what a nice face. Look at that face.
It's dreams have been crushed. It ain't
I'm going to take a picture of that face. I'm going to Photoshop it and I'm going to paste it on my body in all my Facebook pictures going forward.
Scottie D's school projects. Watch out, y'all. Scottie D's learning how to work Photoshop in college, y'all. This is great. This is phenomenal. But yeah, like I said, like B Live, I don't have any high expectations for any teams that's renting out MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. It's just the fact that, you know, the Giants, like, look, show us that you're better than what you were Sunday night. Show us how you this past Sunday night, week 1. Show us how you could bounce back. And they did. They were down by a bunch. They came back and won the game on the road. On the road, not at home, but on the road. So, I think anytime that you can go into a hostile environment on the road and be down by as much as they were and come back, you made definite improvements from week 1 to week 2. And with that being said, fellas, what games are we looking forward to? What games intrigue us next week? What do we think? What games are like, we got to watch that one?
This one is gonna this was gonna hurt a little bit, but I just, oh boy. No, I'm not gonna be a homer. I'm not gonna say Carolina, Seattle, because Carolina's gonna go 0-3. It's they're going all the way to Seattle. I don't see any progress. I'm just gonna put that on there.
That's a fair one.
The game that really intrigues me is Atlanta versus Detroit. Atlanta actually looks like they might be able to do some damage. They're running an offense that doesn't get them into too much trouble, and their defense looks pretty decent. I mean, the way Atlanta played Green Bay, Atlanta might shock the world. Desmond Ritter's not making a bunch of mistakes. I mean, Bijan Robinson is that dude. I don't like it at all that I'm giving Atlanta Falcons any type of props. But
that's your one prop, Falcons fans. Don't get too excited.
I mean, like, they have weapons, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, if they finally start utilizing them the way they should be. And it's going to be, Detroit still hasn't shown me that they can stop anybody. But Detroit has weapons. I'm taking the over in this game, and I'm watching this game, Atlanta versus Detroit. We shall see, man, oh man. Eddy Kool, what say you when it comes to games you're watching next week?
I don't know if I'll be able to watch it due to my area that I'm in, but one that kind of has my attention is an AFC South matchup between the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. As of late, CJ Stroud has been looking pretty good. CJ Stroud has been looking pretty good. He hasn't been making too many mistakes. He's reading through his progressions and actually looking off receivers and making me wonder why in the hell we didn't pick him instead of Bryce Young. But I understand it. I mean, CJ Stroud is better looking like a pocket passer, is looking pretty good. I mean, he hasn't. Has he not? I don't think he's thrown an interception all season. Has he, be live?
I don't think so. But I'm also going to say this. I think any quarterback behind Carolina's offensive line would have trouble. It don't matter who you are. You're gonna be running for your life back there. That's exactly what Bryce Young is doing. And CJ Stroud would have that same problem and issue. So I
Bryce Young's better running for his life, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. That last night's game, the defense, they had the glimpses of all the old Carolina defense, what they can do with their potential, but offensive, man, we just look bad. But yeah, like I said, I'm looking to see what CJ Stroud can do against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So that's a game that's on my docket. Scottie D, what say you? What game are you looking forward to watching or have interest in for week 3?
One that intrigues me is actually going to be the Monday Night Football game next week. Is the Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Rams? Because I'm not sure what we got really with either team. I know that I actually picked the Bengals to win the Super Bowl this year. I picked Joe Burrow to be the MVP, and so far that looks like a terrible pick. I'll keep in mind last year Cincinnati was 0-2, which they are now. But also last year, Joe Burrow didn't have this lingering calf injury, and I think this could be a problem all year, because if he sat for 5 weeks in the preseason and it's still not 100%, and he thought that it was. So now what are you going to do? Sit him for 6 weeks, taking you into late November, middle November? I don't know, man. This is something that could be a factor all year. And on the other side, I picked the Rams to win that division when we all kind of were waffling on who we thought was going to take that division at the beginning of the year. And now, obviously, 2 weeks in, San Francisco looks like a lock. 3 weeks ago, we were uncertain how their quarterback situation was going to play out because Purdy was coming off the elbow surgery, and how was he going to play in his second year? And so far, he looks like he's fine. And the Rams are the ones that are having a little bit of problems, but I'd like to see, are the Rams for real? Are they going to be able to? I know they lost this past week to San Francisco. Of course, that's a tough game. That doesn't mean the season's over for them just because of that. But they're 1-1. The Bengals are 0-2, and these are both teams I think that are probably better than that. So I'd like to see how they come together Monday night and play against one another. So this Burrow thing is really concerning to me. I almost feel like if you're them, if he's good enough to play through it right now, it means it's not as bad as it was when it initially happened in August. So do you sit him for maybe a couple more weeks and just take your medicine, take your lumps, try to get by? I don't even know who their backup quarterback is. I think we came up with a name there in back in August, and I can't remember who it is. But do we take if you're Cincinnati, do you try to say, hey, look, we can lose 4, 5, 6 games and still make the postseason? Let's try to fight through this right now and sit this guy. Or you say, man, we're already in a crucial point. We can't be 0-3, 0-4. Let's keep sending him out there. And it, from what I've heard, it doesn't. I mean, I haven't heard that they are considering sitting Joe Burrow, but part of his effectiveness is his ability to scramble to get out of trouble. And now you're just gonna be holding your breath every time the guy rolls out, because he hurt his calf this past Sunday on a seemingly innocent play. Just, it was a simple incompletion. It wasn't like he was trying to gut out getting yards for a first down and get into a pile up. He just pulled up a little bit lame. So that his calf and Cooper Kupp's, his hamstring are already big factors going into this Monday night game. So I'm interested to see how these teams play out on Monday night.
And speaking of the Rams, how about the emergence of Tutu Atwell and Puca Nacua?
Puca Nacua.
Puca Nacua. Puca.
I told you guys about Puca Nacua. I told you.
You did not.
I've been banging the drum for Puca Nacua.
Where'd he go to school at?
He went to school
Hawaii.
to BYU.
Hawaii.
Okay, one of y'all is wrong. So which one is it? I have no idea. One of y'all says Hawaii, one of y'all says BYU. I'm going to say that the guy that said Hawaii is wrong. Just the way he was like, I told you guys about Puca Nacua. He's like, no, you didn't.
Well, if Eddie hadn't said a school, I think I could have pulled that lie off. I think it would. At least for this show, I think I could have pulled it off if Eddie didn't come up with another name there.
Scottie D, I'm gonna need you to study your homework, not the Steve Harvey book of lying. All right, I'm gonna need you to do that. All right, and before we hop into our favorite portion of the show, let's talk about real quick. Do we, fellas? Should we? Do we got time to talk about Colorado versus Colorado? Let's talk about Colorado State real quick, right?
Yeah.
This is the first time ever I've been interested in watching a West Coast game this damn late. I think the game ended at 2:30. Church started at 9, and I was dragging ass on Sunday. I'm not gonna lie to you. Be live. Your takeaways from this game: Colorado State.
I'm going to say this, and this is going to be it's going to put me in danger with the community.
Whatever.
Colorado was favored by 24 points or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And for that game to go into double overtime, Colorado State had Colorado's number. I'm just going to just take away all the hype, take away all the bulletin board material, take away all the
bull junk.
The bull junk.
All the bull junk.
By the way, Colorado State had Colorado's number. And if it wasn't for just I believe in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and all that divine intervention. If it wasn't for divine intervention, Colorado State would have won this game. So, and I'm rooting for Deion. I'm rooting for Coach Prime. I'm rooting for Shedeur Sanders for Heisman. Just they got to go to Oregon next. Then they got to go to Southern Cal. This is going to be a tough road for Colorado. I think I might have said at the beginning of the season that they get 5-6 wins. I'm still at I'd give about 7 or 8 at the most. The hype train is really there, and people are, and this is going to be, but what I saw on the field for the little bit of the game that I watched, Colorado State had Colorado's number, and Deion was sweating bullets because after all that talk, they couldn't have lost to Colorado State. They couldn't have. It'd have been devastating, and it would have gave a lot of haters ammunition to talk bad about. But learning points. Hey, bounce back to it. But we're going to see some. We're going to see some very exciting West Coast football this year.
Yeah, sometimes maybe we put a little bit too much stock into what the point spreads are, and maybe Colorado State's not quite as bad as that they would indicate to you. And maybe Colorado is not quite as good, but Colorado is better already to me than I thought they would be. They got some guys in there that could be potential NFL players. And a year ago, they won a single game. So you almost maybe think you need a game like this, a tester, to see how you're going to handle a little bit of adversity. And to me, I thought that especially the quarterback, Shedeur Sanders, he really stepped up his game there in the second half when their best player on pretty much on both sides of the ball was in the hospital. I mean, in that one play, which could possibly be determined as a dirty play. And I don't know what the indication. I know he's going to miss a few weeks, but was it ribs? Is that what or Skip Bayless says he got a liver shot there, liver laceration, something.
Ruptured liver.
Yep.
Okay, so he's going to be out for a little while. So in that one single hit, you essentially lost 2 players. You lost a defensive player and an offensive player, and maybe that had a little bit of a psychological effect on them. Either way, though, they didn't get panicked, or even Deion, I give him credit, when things weren't going smoothly there, he took a little bit of emotion, stepped back, and took the points and took a field goal when I thought they were going to go for it, and it was in the third quarter. They took, instead of, if they come up with nothing there, if they go for it on a fourth down, come up with nothing, they still wouldn't have won that game because they wouldn't have had the points. So Deion coached patiently. He didn't go overexcited and egotistical in his coaching. I thought Shedeur was very cool on that. It was a 98-yard drive that was necessary, and a 2-point conversion was necessary. And I thought the kid looked poised. I mean, I was impressed with him in that situation. Now, again, that wasn't Oregon they played last week or Southern Cal they played last week. It was a team that they probably should beat. But this is sports, man. Sometimes the other team shows up more than you expect them to and give you a tougher test. And everybody, I think, at this point that's on Colorado's schedule is going to be up for them because the Rock is on the sideline and because Deion's mom is giving locker room speeches and there's this constant attention on this team.
Lil Wayne is rapping.
Lil Wayne is on the field. I mean, every team is going to be the one that wants to knock off Colorado now. They have become the lightning rod, and Deion seems to accept that and relish that because it's bringing attention to that program. I mean, I don't know the last time I watched a Colorado game, but I made it a point to put that game on Saturday night. So if you have a little bit of a struggle here and there and you overcome, more power to them. I think Colorado is an exciting football team.
Only if Deion would have came to the Pac-12 a year ago, it wouldn't be the Pac-2 right now.
He could have saved it.
He quite possibly could have.
He could have easily saved the Pac-12. I mean, because all eyes are on the Pac-12 right now. I think they've got either 5 or 6 teams that are ranked. I'm watching Pac-12 football.
Yeah, and I keep hearing great things about Washington, and admittedly I have not seen them yet, but that conference is supposed to be pretty deep this year. So
Michael Penix,
I wouldn't expect Colorado to win this conference, but Deion does.
Yeah, Michael Penix, the quarterback for Washington, I would say is leading the Heisman race right now. Like I think he's all 3 games he's played 450 yards of passing and 4 touchdowns in each of the 3 games. Like it's ridiculous right now. So hey, again, 3 weeks in, there's all kinds of hype. There's all kinds. The games will show. And this coming week, just to throw it in there before I sneak into what I got to say about a couple things. We've got 6 ranked games coming up this week.
Ooh,
and including the big one in South Bend, Notre Dame versus Ohio State. That's going to be a huge game with playoff implications out the wazoo. Is Notre Dame for real? Sam Hartman, is he that dude in Notre Dame? Can they finally get over that hump and get into the playoffs once again? Man, I could talk about it for days, but y'all.
Yeah, and Ohio State's coming into this game battle tested. I mean, they barely got by Western Kentucky 63-10 this past week. They are.
We have this stuff on the ready.
Hold on, fellas. Before we,
you research this stuff before. Okay,
I appreciate your enthusiasm, but we got some order to this show, and I'm here to ring that bell and restore the order. That's it for NFL week 2, and talk about Coach Prime Time Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes. Coming up next, we're gonna be talking about some more college football. Scottie D tried it, B-Live fell for it. He's sick of it already, but we're not. Coming right back at you, right here on the Sports Bros Podcast. He wants to hit him.
I got more scores to share here too.
Of course you do.
Oh boy. Back at you here again on the Sports Bros Podcast. A wonderful episode so far. We talked about week 2 of the NFL and Coach Prime Deion Sanders. Scottie D delivered a very important college score from the Ohio State game this past weekend. But with that being said, we can't talk about football until we talk about the following. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, podcasters, player haters, procrastinators, and all y'all, this is the B-Live Top 5.
Well. As we've been talking all throughout this episode, is way early in the season, all kinds of things that are going on. And so we may overreact sometimes, we may not react at all. But at the end of the day, we have to react. And so my reaction to what has happened in the college football world is as follows with the B-Live top 5. And I'm going to come in hot at number 5, and let me get my mouth right with this. With the Ohio State University, I'm going to bring them up just a little bit, but because they got a big test coming up, they're traveling down to South Bend against Notre Dame, and can they really earn this top 5 that I'm giving them, or will they be just as quickly right out? We shall see. Coming in at number 4, I got to go with Southern California, the Trojans out there in the West. They got the reigning Heisman Trophy winner, Caleb Williams, and he's just otherworldly. And I think with him at the helm, they could do a lot of dangerous things, especially out west. Coming in at number 3, we've got Hook 'em Horns. We've got the Texas Longhorns. Man, oh man, that was a statement win against Alabama, and whoo, hey, the sky is the limit for them. They want to make a statement to let people know that, hey, we are here. We're coming to the SEC, and we are coming in hot. Oh, man. Let's go to number 2. And here's the shocker that everybody's going to be clamoring and saying all kinds of ifs, ands, or buts about. I said it. I'm going to say it. Number 2, the reigning, defending, back-to-back national champions, the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm dropping them the number 2. You can't be the number 1 team in the country and be down 14-3 against them dirt peckers in Columbia. I'm not going to allow it. It ain't going to happen. You are being punished, because there's no way you're going to have them feeling good about themselves for a half. And the moral victory, we were winning at halftime. The game is 4 quarters. So Georgia, get your life together. You're going down to number 2, the Eddy Kool Stank Face Collection right there. And
hey, you know what? Get ready for them rec specs, baby. Lenore Sellers, get ready for them rec specs.
Coming in at number 1, I move them up. But hey, we shall see. They had a little rough start as well. Nobody really has emerged as that team that's running away from it all. But that team up north, the Michigan Wolverines, I think they have the clearer path to making it to the playoffs and making damage. But hey, all bets are off when it comes to rivalries. All bets are off when it comes to any given Saturday. And man, simply put,
so you don't have Florida State in there. Is that what I saw?
Florida State, absolutely not. You can't struggle against a Boston College squad and think I'm gonna keep you in my top 5. And I said it. I know what's about to happen. Well, I don't know what's about to happen, but it's going to be very interesting because Florida State is coming to Dabboville, Clinton. They're coming to Clemson this week. So that is going to be their big test. Hey, do they show me, the almighty be live, that they deserve to be in the top 5? Are they for real? Are they contenders or are they pretenders? We shall see. But after that performance against Boston College, I don't know. Second half against LSU, contenders. Game against Boston College, pretenders. We'll see what version of Florida State we'll get against Clemson this coming Saturday at noon. Freaking noon. This big game is going to be hot. It's supposed to be a night game. Supposed to bring all the noise, but hey, we still bringing the noise in Death Valley. Yes, sir. What say you?
So, all right. Interesting that you in the rankings, Florida State is let's see, in the coaches poll they're 3, and in the AP poll they're 4. So I mean, it's not like you gave them a huge drop because you moved Texas up in there, and they are actually in the AP top 5, top 25. They're 3rd, and the coaches poll they're 6. So that's not super controversial. And I from what little college football, actually I've watched a handful of games. I don't see the big separation from Georgia. I don't think they're going to win it again this year. I think they're going to be had by somebody this year.
That's
And I as I look at like the top, I don't know, 7, 8 teams, maybe 10, I could see a national champion coming from outside of the top 5 right now. I don't think it's as kind of last year. I kind of had an idea. I thought these 2-3 teams were going to be in the playoff, and maybe there's a handful of teams competing for that last spot. I think it's more open this year than it has been in the past couple years. I mean, you could even see UCLA getting in there because the way they handled NC Central to the tune of 59-7 this past week.
There it is.
You know, Oklahoma. You got Oklahoma. They're a top 10 team. They're 14, and you know they put 66 on against a mighty Tulsa team. So you never know.
You're gonna pick out the most ridiculous games every week, aren't you? This is what we're doing.
Washington State 64, North Colorado 21. Washington State's a national contender at this point. You can score 64 points. You can be a contender.
What did Pitt do? What did Pitt do?
I put 6 up.
Wow.
In the backyard brawl.
Did they put up a turd burger?
Backyard balling is what they had us doing as Pitt fans.
How's the song go? Sweet Caroline,
let's go Pitt. Yeah,
Pitt.
West Virginia changed the lyrics a little bit in that little part. Very like disrespectful.
Just a little bit better.
Very disrespectful, those Mountaineer fans. But
I'm pretty sure they did. Hey, B-Live, guess who comes back from suspension? Jim Harbaugh. We get khakis in the sweater and the hat and that TTUN, that team up north, or some people like to call them the Wolverines of Michigan. They shouldn't call them that. They're pretty nice people there in Michigan. Michigan. Blake Corum scored a bunch of touchdowns last week. So business as usual. Florida State, man. I'm not sold all the way on them yet. So I mean, we shall see. I got my eyes. Go ahead.
I say even Alabama, they're winning and dropping in the polls.
They're number 13. It's just like
they dropped.
Yeah, and they're going to stick with Milroe, the quarterback. Yeah, they're still going to stick with the quarterback. A down year for Alabama football, and we got Scottie D, like you said, Washington State. Oh, they're number 21 in the polls. And,
I mean, you put 64 at North Colorado. You have to take notice of that.
Yeah, you better pay attention.
You got to pay attention. If you're putting 64 on the North Colorado Coloradians, that's a.
Well, I mean, if Scottie D actually did his research, he'd probably mention Oklahoma State, where they paid North Alabama to come to Oklahoma State for them to lose 33-7.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. You pay, like I said, that North Alabama, I'm pretty sure they're an FCS opponent. They got paid to come, and that's supposed to be one of those games that Scottie D always mentions when it comes to a blowout, and it was a blowout the other way. Oklahoma State, what's going on?
Shame on you, Cowboys.
You're no longer a man. I guess you're a senior citizen. You're 60. Is it still Mike Gundy? So I don't even know this.
Yeah, he's a man and he's 60 now. Yeah, he's.
Speaking of Oklahoma State, did you hear? There's going to be a documentary about Barry Sanders coming out.
No,
did you hear that? He's going to supposedly at the end of this documentary reveal why he walked away from the Lions after 10 years. That's what's being reported.
I'm here for that.
Must see TV.
Yeah.
That is
supposed to be coming out in the next some point in the fall. They said so. Very very shortly. They said he's supposed to be like sitting on a stage in a theater or something and talking about his experience and why he decided to leave football at that age. So, yeah, that's something to look forward to.
Finally, we get one of life's unanswered questions finally answered. And B Live, I saw that you got us up and running live on our Facebook on a Facebook group chat or Facebook, whatever you call it. You got us up and running on live. So to everybody that's joining us this morning, good morning. This is the Sports Bros Podcast. We're taking the peep behind the curtain, showing you how we do it right here at the Sports Bros Podcast. As everybody knows,
live? Is that
yeah,
right? Is that
We are live.
yeah, we're live now. We're live now. And ladies and gentlemen, those are Scottie D's Rec Specs. Beeline
readers.
Readers. The infamous readers that we always speak of.
Yeah, when you see those readers, it means it's going down like 4 flat tires. All right, with that being said, fellas, guess what time it is?
Time is it? What's happening? What's going on?
Oh, black snow. I'm sorry. No, I just want to do that. I'm glad you asked. This time once again for our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices. And with that being said, hey, yo, button, hit it. Choices of the voices coming at you right here on the Sports Bros Podcast.
And now, our favorite part of the show, the choices of the voices.
Once again, thank you to the wonderful land, Scottie D. Hold your ears. Ever. So lovely, Miss Button, for introducing our favorite portion of the show, the choices of the voices, where we ask y'all the question, you give us the answer, and then we read your answer back right here on the Sports Bros Podcast. I know that's a lot of movement of the fingers, air traffic control, doing all the dance moves and stuff like that, but you get it. It is what it is. And with that being said, Scottie D, what's on tap for this week's choices of the voices?
So we asked you to tell us a football game that you remembered for the weather factor, and weather being your whatever you thought of, rain, snow, hail, hurricane, whatever. But there have been many football games throughout the years that stick out just based on the elements. And Eddy Kool, what did the people tell us here?
All right, here we go. We got Matty Ice, Martin Tracy. He says, duh. Pats versus Raiders. Winner goes to the Super Bowl. I'm sure y'all remember it was snowing hard that day in Foxborough, Massachusetts. Yes, it was. It's the infamous tuck rule game. We all know this game as the beginning of the story of the undisputed GOAT, Tom Edward Patrick, 1,000 names Brady. All right, so we got one for Raiders, Patriots, tuck rule snow game. Mark Olds, he says, oh, you got it. Leon Lett versus the Dolphins. That was the Thanksgiving game, Scottie D?
Thanksgiving, Leon sliding through the snow.
Yep. And Mark Olds, he says, I also do recall a high school game where I was a punt returner. Okay, Mark Olds, a punt returner, I ain't mad at you. And lost the ball in the snow. It was a night game, and it was snowing so hard that I lost it in the lights and the snow. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. Not at all. Just imagine you see a ball being punted, and then the next thing you know, it gets lost, and then the next thing you know, oh, it's over here somewhere. You can't fair catch it, fair call it, or nothing. Tony Bogan, what's up, TB? He says 2 high school games stand out to me in this instance. The first one from August of last year between Dover and Lake Catholic. Rain like hell in the second quarter, but no lightning. Low-scoring contest where Dover won 16-13. His second one was last year's regional game between Canfield and Chardon. Cold as hell, and yet another low-scoring game where Canfield won 14-7, and the games went quick though. Oof, those are unenviable tasks. But shout out to Tony Bogan, man, one of the hardest working dudes up here in Northeast Ohio. All right, Tom Winner Chicken Dinner. He says 1980. Browns on the Raiders 13-yard line, down 14-12 with 49 seconds left. A field goal ices the game. Problem was the ball was iced too. They opt to run a play, and Red Light 88 goes down in infamy, the AFC playoffs. And then Martin Tracy said, Tom Wynn, I remember that game. My father's friend was a huge Browns fan and wore the Brian Sight jersey. Because of this, I remember his enthusiasm during the game. It got me even more into football, and I had to get a Brian Sight card. I think I still have it, and an Ozzie Newsome card too. I was 11. You probably got some money, man. You probably really do have some money. Yep, all right. We got the best name in the game, JoJo Comfort. He says the 1981 AFC Championship game in Cincinnati, the Freezer Bowl. San Diego simply couldn't cope with it. That's like taking a banana and leaving it outside in Cincinnati. It was cold.
Well, that game also, that was the week after the classic Orange Bowl game
Oh.
which to me, to this day, I've told you this before, I still think it's the greatest football game I ever watched. Was the game. You've seen it over and over again where Kellen Winslow's helped off the field with his arms around his teammates, and Miami ran the old hook and lateral play, and it came back from it was this a back and forth. It was an incredible game, and San Diego was riding high after that one. And I think that game in Cincinnati, it was below freeze. I think it was like a 10-7 game or 14-7. It was something real, and on AstroTurf, the old hard AstroTurf up in Cincinnati, and Bengals went on to the Super Bowl after that game.
That's like playing on damn concrete, man. That old AstroTurf was just like a shag rug with a cement bottom. That's what it looked like. I'm not gonna lie to you. All right.
Yeah, it was hard.
All right. Brian Lavelle, he says, "Yep, the Leon Lett game Brian Lavelle, Brian Lavelle says, "Yep."
Lovell, that's Brian Lovell.
Brian Lovell, I'm sorry. He said Leon Lett. Yep, let it be. Also, the snowplow game in 1982, the Patriots versus the Fish. Brian also came back and said, Scottie D, this might be a local game thing, local thing here. Would like to mention the 2003 3A WPIAL state final game, Pine Richland versus Manheim Central. Probably the best game I've ever watched. Neil Walker was Pine Richland's tailback. They lost 39-38. It was a blizzard the whole game. Amazing for high school football. It's something about football in the snow, fellas. There's just something magical about it.
And Neil Walker ended up being a very good player for the Pittsburgh Pirates for several years.
All right. We got Brian. Is it Laycock?
Laycock.
All right. We got Brian Laycock. He said the 1987 Fog Bowl between the Steelers and the Patriots. Could hardly see the game on TV. All right.
Yeah, Fog Bowl in 97. I had actually forgotten about that as a playoff game.
Yep. Martin Tracy also gave us some more. He said, just had to share another memory. Let me see. What did he say here?
Not a fan of either coach. He gotten over the 86 Monsters of the Midway, Chicago Bears, thrashing of the Patriots, big fan of Randall Cunningham. Some other things. He was pissed off.
Yeah, he was low, man. All right, moving right along. We got Brian. Don't call me Jesse the Body Ventura. He says 1970-something at Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh. I saw Joy Taylor. She had the Three Rivers t-shirt on the other day. Shout out to her too. Was watching the Steelers play. I was just a kid. It was mind-numbing cold, uncontrollable shivering for me with my dad, his friend, his son, who was also my age. My dad and his friends got hopped up on Iron City beer, baby. Watch out. And my mom lit into him when we got home, and I had the shivers. It took me hours to thaw out. I can't believe I remember this. Wow, what a memory. He didn't say nothing about the game. It was everything but the game. That's great.
The elements are what stood out to him. A cold game in Pittsburgh.
Child Protective
CBS. CBS.
He out there freezing while him and his friend out there drinking.
Yeah.
That is good parenting right there. He survived, but did you die?
Frozen boogers, can't breathe. It's just tongue stuck to your lip. Oh, it's bad. All right, and our Hall of Famer Uncle Max, what's going on, man? He's seen in a hot minute. He says the Fog Bowl on New Year's Eve, 1988, between the Bears and the Eagles.
I did not realize that game was on New Year's Eve, but he's correct that it was. But I remember that was even worse than the Steelers Patriots Fog one that Brian Laycock mentioned. But I remember that was on TV. You couldn't see anything. It was just white. It was like looking at a cloud. Do you guys remember that at all? I mean, I know you're a little bit younger than I am, but I remember that 88. I remember that game very specifically, like looking at the TV and thinking, how are these guys even playing? This is incredible.
Was that game in color?
It was.
No, it was in white. It was in complete fog.
Just white because of the
not even black. It was just in white.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Fix the contrast. We can't see it. All right. A shout out to everybody for their participation in this week's Choices of the Voices. Scottie D, weather game elements. What say you?
I like some of these ones I heard, and another one that Martin Tracy mentioned was the snow plow. Whenever the guy came out, I can't remember if it was the Patriots about to kick a field goal and they came out and plowed a little path. You're obviously not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to run a snow plow to allow your field goal kicker to do it.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, I remember one on my birthday. It was November 26th, 2007. The Steelers had a big 3-0 win on Monday Night Football against the Dolphins, where it just poured down rain all night. It was a horrible game to watch. Neither team could do anything because it was just complete misery. But one that stands out in my mind in recent memory was in 2021. The Patriots and Dolphins, or Patriots and Bills, had a wind game. And what I remember about it is the fact that the Patriots threw 3 passes the whole game.
I remember that.
And they won 14-10. But they wouldn't put it up. They took no chances. The Bills threw a few passes, but the Patriots, they said, all we're going to do is run. It was like Little League football that day. Actually, that was a Monday Night Football game too, I believe, right? I'm sure you guys remember that game. Yep. That was Monday Night Football. And yeah, that one's, again, if you put on the TV and look at it with no sound, you don't see any elements. It just, they might show like the goalposts, the flags and all that blowing, but the fact that they just wouldn't even try to pass it, unbelievable. Be Live, what you got?
This is very simple. And Eddy Kool, I'm gonna go ahead and apologize ahead of time. I may steal this from you.
That's okay, because I was gonna say the same thing too.
Because we both were there. Monday Night Football 2015, the Panthers versus the Indianapolis Colts. That we got rain on top of rain. God was throwing buckets and buckets of water on it. Oh my gosh. We were in the upper level, and we're braving the elements because we're just having a good time. Not only were the tickets free because your boy won a little contest between restaurant managers. So we was good. And I had the choice of getting 2 lower level seats or 4 upper level seats. I was like, I need to bring all my boys. So we aimed 4 upper level. We got to have it. Shout out to my man Nick Way out there. My man, I think, who did I take with it? Was it Ian that came with us that time? Or?
Yeah, he was there. Yep.
Yeah, I think my boy Ian Woodard. Shout out to him, especially when we went up to Detroit as well.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah. Oh man, such a good time. But yeah, we getting rained on, and this game had the nerve to go into overtime. We said, nope, that ain't happening. We were soaking wet. We was like, nope, we gonna watch the rest of the game underneath the cover because we were soaked. And man, Graham Gano comes through. I think this was the beginning stages of the new overtime rule, where like if you kick a field goal, the other team has a chance to match. Because Indy went up and scored. They scored a field goal. We scored a field goal, and then we scored another field goal to win the game. To keep that streak going, that 15-1, all the way to the Super Bowl, dab on them. And man, you should have saw us on the subway afterwards, on the train afterwards. Oh, that thing was rocking.
How did?
Oh, that thing rocking. Oh my God, that will always be my favorite game, a weather game especially. But man, absolutely, Eddy Kool, yeah, I stole your thunder.
And that's it. I was about to say the same thing, man. I remember living in Atlanta at the time and traveling to the game on the 85. It was rain. The weather was poopy the whole way up. It was just bad. I'm not gonna cuss because we got people watching. It was bad weather. I remember one point there was this crash that had traffic held up on 85 for like an hour and a half. I'm like, Be Live, I hope I'm making it. I'm trying to go. I'm like, I hadn't even left Georgia yet. Well, actually, no, I hadn't even left South Carolina yet. I was on the way there, but needless to say, man, I went and bought a poncho. My hair was wet. My shoes was wet. I literally felt like a wet dog, but it was all in good fun. It was close to my birthday. Thank you, Be Live, for one of the best birthday presents a brother could ever have. I love it, and it's memory etched forever. People say, Eddy Kool, I saw you on Snapchat. I took a picture with a news girl. It was all good. We drank beer, we ate food, we told loud, nasty
That
jokes.
was like
No,
at
we
the
do all that.
infancy of Snapchat on top of that. Like Snapchat
Yeah.
just became a thing back. I was like, we
Yeah.
was living it up. Oh my God.
Yeah, we were doing it. All right. Yep, that's it. Memories, everything. With that being said, Scottie D, what's on tap next week for the choices of the voices?
All right. So next week, we're going to ask you to tell us about one or two of your favorite nicknames for NFL teams. We've done like individual nicknames before, but sometimes a team will get a nickname or a part of a team, like a steel curtain defense, or the Hogs from the old Redskins teams, that type of thing. Air Coryell was the Chargers offense at one point. So give us some of your favorite nicknames you've come up with through the years for a team or a portion of your team, whatever you want to do. And Eddy Kool, that'll give us something to talk about next week.
All right, coming up, a round of pepper. You know how we do it right here on the Sports Bros Podcast. It's time for a round of pepper. So we get ready to get the hell up out of here. And it's time for a round of pepper, as I stated already. You know how we do it. 3 topics, rapid fire style. Kind of sort of not really here to engage, enlighten, and entertain, and educate. The 4 E's in no particular order. And with that being said, I'll go first. On this day in history, back in 1931, Lou Gehrig, he breaks his RBI record of 175 en route to 184. Which means he was on a record toward pace, like, you know what? I'm going to break my own record. So he hit 4 RBIs in one game to break his old record from 175 to make it 184. So shout out to one of the best to ever do it. One of your Yankees, Scottie D, Lou Gehrig. And speaking of Scottie D, over to you, sir.
All right. So this past Saturday night, Alexa Grasso defended her flyweight title against Valentina Shevchenko. You will recall Grasso defeated Shevchenko back in April with a 4th-round submission. That was Shevchenko's 8th title defense. So she snapped a streak of 7 straight title defenses. Well, this past Saturday night in Vegas, to celebrate Mexican Independence Day, they had their first ever event called Noche UFC to celebrate the Mexican fighter. And Grasso was the first ever female-born Mexican fighter to win a UFC title. She fought Shevchenko to a draw. And it's such a shame that it came down to this, because this fight was outstanding. This is one of the best UFC fights I think I've ever seen. And the one judge had one judge each had it for each girl. And then the 5th judge, a guy by the name of Mike Bell, scored a 10-8 round for Grasso in the final round, meaning that the decision was a draw. And it was an absolute travesty that round went to a 10-8, because if you watch any fighting at all, you know a 10-8 has to be pretty much one fighter dominating the other. This final round, these girls were on their feet for the better part of 3.5 minutes. Shevchenko probably even getting the better of that exchange. Then Grasso took her down and never really endangered her of stopping the fight, but definitely was the undisputed winner of that final round. So a lot of Shevchenko fans are really angry because they think that she should have won the fight, because that last round should not have been a draw. I am in the camp that thinks that Grasso should have won 3 rounds, 2 in addition to that. So either way, the old saying goes, don't let it get to the judges. Well, that's what happened. And so it was still a great fight. Bad decision, no matter which way you look at it. Unfortunately, Shevchenko broke her thumb. She fractured her thumb in the first round, so we won't be seeing a rematch there anytime soon. But nonetheless, a great first Noche UFC event in Vegas this past weekend. Be Live, over to you.
Oh, well. My first pepper point, I'm going to go ahead and come in hot. Because, we've been talking about running backs and getting paid in the NFL, and they're prone to injury. And we've already seen that in the first couple of weeks here in the NFL. Well, last week, because it seemed like running backs are already getting injured and the talks are already happening, the NFL decides that, hold on, wait a minute. This seems a little bit suspicious that all of these running backs are now all of a sudden already getting hurt. And they file a grievance against the Players Association, because they believe that the Players Association is advising running backs to exaggerate injuries. And the face that Scottie D just gave us.
Yeah, Nick Chubb really exaggerated his on mine. He stuck to that plan.
That's exactly this. The grievance came on September 11th, so this was before the Nick Chubb, and yeah, there's no way you can exaggerate that. That was one of the ugliest I have seen. But man, come on now, you really like pay the running backs. Stop this silliness between the owners. Like, come on. Now you're thinking that they're faking injuries. We don't have time for that. Well, I say we like I'm a running back in the NFL, but you know what I mean. Yeah, know exactly what I mean. Come on, NFL, do better. Eddy Kool, the ball.
Well, never mind the pepper point I just had. I have a breaking news / my second pepper point. According to ABC, they will air an additional 10 Monday Night Football games because of the writers and actors strikes. I was like, you know what? Why are we getting extra football on ABC? I thought at first, okay, it's Aaron Rodgers' debut against the Jets, and they want him to have that whole stage to himself. Well, due to the actors strike with the SAG-AFTRA writer strike, we're gonna be seeing more football. We're gonna be seeing more as usual. All right, so here's the news out of the Los Angeles, courtesy of the Associated Press. ABC will be airing more Monday Night Football games than originally planned. In addition, 10 games originally set to appear only on ESPN will be simulcast on ABC. The additional games will be on network television because the ongoing strikes by the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild American Federation of them, all right, them folks, all right.
SAG, yeah.
Yeah.
Screen Actors Guild.
Yeah, all them. Yeah. So the NFL announced that when they announced their schedule in May, the NFL had 4 exclusive regular season games, including Monday night's matchup between the Browns and the Steelers, and 5 being a part of the ESPN simulcast. Last week's game between the Jets and the Bills averaged 22.6 million views on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPN Deportes. Yeah, so I guess if you ain't got nothing to do, you can watch some games on ABC. Is Grey's Anatomy still on TV? Is that a?
I think it's still a thing, but the thing about it is we're going back in time as opposed to keep it on the networks, like on ABC. Like, why are we doing this whole cable thing? Like, you're getting way more ratings, and now that's 3 less shows that you have to air on your network. Ta-da. Genius. Whatever.
I guess they say problem solved until further notice. Over to you, Scottie D.
Lazy solution to a big problem that they have is what it is. But they didn't say, we're gonna get a second game. We're gonna pluck another game off of the Sunday schedule and move it to Monday, like they did this past Monday, and have 2 different games. This is going to be the same game that you can now watch on either ESPN or ABC. Right? That's what it is, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Moving forward, but week 3 there is another doubleheader. I don't even.
There
know.
Is.
Yeah. Philly's playing somebody else as well. Like, there's another doubleheader this Monday. I don't even know what's going on anymore. That's why I enjoy being a fan. If I really have to be an analyst to this, I'm just be scratching my head. Like, what are y'all doing?
So the football fan has their choice on Monday to watch the same game on ESPN or ABC, but on Thursday night they can't if they don't have Amazon Prime. They can't watch anything. So
yeah, that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah. Speaking of not wanting to watch football, I watched the Backyard Brawl on this past Saturday night. Now, I think I told you guys the week before I went down to Acrisure Stadium to watch Pitt take on Cincinnati. And I really left there that night hoping that Pitt quarterback Phil Djokovic had a bad night. Well, I hadn't seen anything yet. This dude threw for, I believe, less than 100 yards in this Backyard Brawl. 3 picks. This is his 6th year of football. This dude's like almost ready to retire from football, and he still can't get it right. He's the worst quarterback I think I've ever seen at the collegiate level. It's going to be a terrible year for Pitt. He was with Notre Dame for 2 years. He transferred. Was at Boston College 3 years. Now he's at Pitt. That's 3 big-time programs. How is this kid getting scholarships to go play Division I football when he can't throw a pass? I am going to be a miserable college football fan this year. Thank God, at least we're going to be good this year. Me and you be like, thank God we still have Dabo.
We lost to Duke. I don't know.
Yeah, it's okay. We didn't lose to Cincinnati. We didn't lose to Cincinnati like we did, and we didn't lose to West Virginia like we did.
We did.
It's over to you. It's over to you.
Oh my goodness! All right, my second pepper point. Like I said, I'm coming in hot because we still talk about injuries in the NFL, and I don't know how accurate this is, but you know how people like to make memes and make statements and whatnot. Well, it has been calculated that for all of the stadiums in the NFL to convert to all grass fields, like the Players Association has been begging for, to mind you, I think 28 out of the 30 owners are billionaires. It would cost the NFL $12 billion. Not with a B, with an M. $12 million. I think that's low. I think there's probably going to be a lot more maintenance and stuff like that. And then you know how a lot of these stadiums want to be multifaceted and do concerts or whatever. I don't care. If you could put in grass for the World Cup, you could put in grass for the NFL. That makes you billions of dollars annually. Cut it out, NFL. Come off them pockets. Protect your players. Eddy Kool, the ball.
And do better, in the words of the Money Man. Just do better. Just do better. Just football is meant to be played on grass. A few weeks ago, I was at a stadium and I was like, oh, this grass is so beautiful. It is what it is, though, all right? All right, so my third and final pepper point. On this day in history, back in 1933, the Pittsburgh Steelers, but then known as the Pittsburgh Pirates, play their first NFL game, and they lose 23-2. Yep.
23-2. Yep. That sounds like an Oklahoma football game.
Oh boy, 23-2. So how times have changed for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got a bunch of Super Bowl rings. They got a bunch of Hall of Fame players. One of the world's biggest fan bases in all of professional sports, and they won last night. They beat the Browns. Over to you, B-Live.
Not me.
I'm sorry. Over to you, Scottie D.
How are you going out of order at this stage of the game?
I don't know, man. It's early. I don't know. My brain hasn't warmed up yet. Over to you, Scottie D.
All right, we're warmed up and ready to cool down. And speaking of cooling down, the career in the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim is coming to a conclusion, ice cold conclusion for Shohei Ohtani. They shut him down for the season with an oblique injury, and he's talking about having elbow surgery, and that pretty much closes the book, I believe, on his career as an Angel. Man, what could have been with him? The Angels had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, and could just seem to never keep these guys healthy, could never seem to keep them happy. And, you know, the Angels made a little push before the trade deadline this year and kept Ohtani, hoping to be a contender. And then they completely just went to hell following the All-Star break. It's been a terrible stretch. They're going to lose this guy and get nothing in return for him. You might want to put Mike Trout on the block and just start all over again, Angels, because this guy is not coming back next year. I doubt he's leaving the state. Odds are he will be suiting up for the LA Dodgers a season from now. His agent said he still wants to be a two-way player, still wants to pitch and play, be an everyday player. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds. But the Angels, man, what could have been and what is not going to be. Be live. Finish this up.
Appropriately titled, Scottie D. What could have been and what it ain't going to be. Love it.
Yep.
Well, my third and final pepper, before I go into that, hey, pay attention to when it comes to baseball, the National League wild card race. There's 6 teams vying for 3 spots, and there's a separation of 2 games between 5 of them. It's going to come down to the wire. I would like to report about that more, but next week is going to be hot. So, but I wanted to end this week's Pepper Points with, you know how I like to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happened, but this is what happened in a good way. So last week, during the Jets-Bills game, everything was about Aaron Rodgers' injury. Everything was this, that, and the third about that. But we had a stellar performance from Jordan Whitehead, where he recorded not one, not two, but 3 interceptions during that game. And just want to throw that out there. This is the part of what happened. There's a nice, nifty little piece of information that was in his contract, where if for the season, if he records 3 interceptions, he gets an additional $250,000. If he records 3 in the season, 17 games, he said, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. I'm going to get that right now. Pay the man.
Go ahead and give me that check.
Give me that check, $250,000, 3 interceptions, 1 game, Jordan Whitehead. Yes, sir. That's how we do it.
I'd be jumping up and down too. Sure would.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I got 2. Hey, I'm coming into the season. Well, actually, I'm going into week 2, $250,000 richer. $250,000 richer. All right, we got all our Pepper Points, everything out the way.
Oh, we are good. We are Gucci bandana.
We are good to go. We are good like somebody from 50+ yards. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Shout out to everybody that joined us on Facebook Live. We hope to do this again surely and soon one more time. Be Live coming to you live from shared studios in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And Scottie D is getting up with his Cowboys shirt on, get ready to go to class at the Waynesburg University. With that being said, and in closing, do something nice for yourself. And if you can, do something nice for someone else. They're greatly appreciated now more than ever. This has been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. Shout out to Miss Mary. Her birthday is coming up soon. She beat cancer, and we celebrate those things. Y'all be good. Y'all love each other, and y'all take care. Be Live. Take us home.
Yes, sir.
Y'all take care. Enjoy each other. Be safe. And if you're playing on turf, just be safe. It's been another episode of the Sports Bros Podcast. See ya next week.
Okay, boys, let's bring it home with a round of pepper.
Hey, it's Eddy Kool here from the Sports Bros Podcast. Thank you for listening, and as always, continue to follow us on all of our social media platforms. Just click the link in the description box and keep up with the Sports Bros Podcast. And once again, thanks for listening.